Welcome back to the Simply His Coffee Shop. We are in part 2 of our St. Patrick's Day talk about who St. Patrick was and what he did. He was a missionary that went to Ireland, and he's called the patron saint of Ireland because he was a missionary there. And I'm joined again in the studio with Mom, Nita Horn, and Sharice Parton. Hey. We're so glad to be here and continue this conversation because it's been very interesting learning about St. Patrick and who he was and what he stood for and why this actually needs to be a bigger holiday that's celebrated, especially among us Christians.
Yeah, for sure.
And how it could be a really great teaching moment for our kids, to teach them. This is what he went through when he was a young boy.
Absolutely.
And teenager, and going in and look at the impact that he's made. Because it's not about going to the pub. It's not about leprechauns. It's not about the pot of gold. It wasn't about any of those things. Those things have been more paganized when they're trying to take this holiday away to a degree.
No, for sure. And for me, it bodes for, pastors, or, anybody in women's leadership in church that you teach a class or a group ministry, how you have the opportunity to type and shadow the life of Joseph in the Bible with St. Patrick, and how Patrick, just because it's probably newer to us than, some things like Joseph, how, there's not a Joseph's Day on our calendar, but there's a St. Patrick's Day, and how we can correlate that and type and shadow it and teach that, in our small groups, and about his missionary work and how he taught the legend of the shamrock, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, how you're, walking, everywhere in Ireland. I can just imagine. I've never been. I've seen screensavers, and they're gorgeous. Our new update on our Macs, Sonoma or whatever Sedona, whatever it is, has some cool ones, and there's this lush field, and you can just think walking out there, and all you see is the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, because you just got taught it, right?
Shamrocks everywhere.
Yeah.
So great tools to teach even your kids' Sunday school class if you're a Sunday school teacher.
Yeah, take them out in the yard, pick the clovers, and talk about it.
Talk about it. It's a great avenue to help bring that into their mind on something that's so simple.
Right, absolutely.
So one last thing about the shamrock is that it is associated with good luck. Right? Well, so that also has been paganized, because when St. Patrick would talk about the shamrock, the good luck was the story of the good news.
Right. Good news.
So that was the luck, is the fact that there was good news in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I like that little tidbit.
I do too.
Myself.
I do too.
So we did end off last week, though, just barely getting into some of the traditional Irish things that go along with St. Patrick's Day. So this is something, again, that you could have fun with your family. Yeah. Bring your kids in, maybe do some of these recipes, but then talk about who St. Patrick was and what his mission was. It could be a very fun thing that you can do as a family for this holiday.
Yeah, or even your women's group at church, you meet, or whatever, and just get together and talk about St. Patrick and some of these dishes maybe that you could do. You can do it at home, whatever, the case. Right. One of them that I found was a traditional Irish wheaten bread, and just because of the nature of who I am and what I think about wheat and flour. If you're going to get flour, in my opinion, you do you, boo. But there's like Italian flour that is very super clean. That's nothing like our flour. So I'm recently in that rabbit hole of getting Italian ingredients here to be able to make
even European
bread.
Just in general, because
UK,
they have a lot more
totally
restrictions.
Different. Exactly. Side note, anyway. So in Northern Ireland, brown soda bread is made with whole wheat flour and is known as wheaten bread. And in Ireland, the soda bread tends to be made with an all-purpose flour. So some recipes for wheaten bread include a couple of tablespoons of sugar and butter, which make it a little sweeter and a little richer. I would probably substitute the sugar for an organic molasses if you wanted to stay a little more organic, and it's a little bit richer with that too. And that recipe keeps it pretty simple. It's not, and all of these you can find online. They're really easy to look up and to adapt to your kitchen and what you've got in your cupboard. One that I thought was fun was Irish nachos, which I'd never thought about using a potato as a nacho. right?
Yeah.
So fry your potato, you know how you kind of scoop it all out and then fry that up instead of a tortilla, whatever. Tomato, and then some cheese and some good nitrite-free bacon, maybe some good green homemade salsa.
Well, and with nachos too, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory with
Right.
even the potatoes. A lot of people do like fried potato skins anyways.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
basically the same idea, but then you just put more nacho type
Yeah,
toppings on it.
Yeah,
We've done that before.
That's a
a
lot of
lot at
fun.
our house.
You could even chop up like diced chicken,
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Sauteed
some
chicken.
protein.
some
Yeah,
hamburger or whatever.
Yeah, that
you want
sounds
to put
really
on
good.
top as your protein.
that sounds really good.
It's like you could do anything you want with that one.
Yeah,
Well,
no
and it's
kidding.
potatoes.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like potatoes?
Right? A lot of kids, because we're fixing to move to, the traditional cabbage, and a lot of kids won't eat cabbage. But if you wanted to incorporate a meal or a dish to traditionally celebrate, maybe that Irish nacho. Heading to cabbage, which a lot of people don't like. I love cabbage, whether it's just your typical fried cabbage. It's so versatile. I mean,
It
you
is.
you can use it in so many different recipes.
Well, and different countries actually use cabbage. I mean, it's used in Thai food. It's
Right.
used in Asian food.
Right.
It's used in European food. So, I mean, everybody has had
really
cabbage.
versatile. Yeah,
it's
for
very
sure.
versatile. You can turn it into anything.
They even use it here in Missouri
Oh,
yes,
I know.
we do.
in our coleslaw.
Yes,
That's
we do.
true.
I have a recipe where we take a head of cabbage and we core it and we put like good grass-fed butter down in it and
Oh,
real
wow.
cheese and smoke it on the Traeger.
Oh boy.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
I've even seen where they almost get like ground beef
Oh yeah.
and stuff it in there too, and then make like a cabbage filled meatloaf almost
yeah.
kind of a thing.
We'd gone and taken a trip down into Arkansas, and there's this little Ozark cafe down there, and they had this special one day, and it's literally, I take my grass-fed beef and brown it, and then I will add a little bit of our coconut aminos. And then while it's going on my stir fry, I'll have my butter and my cabbage with a little avocado oil.
Right.
And then I'll take a block of cream cheese, and then I'll incorporate that with the beef. And then once these two are done, I marry them together real good. And then I'll bake it off in a cast iron skillet with cheddar on the top and brown it up. Oh my gosh. It's like the ultimate clean comfort food. It's so good.
Well, for those who don't know what coconut aminos is, it's kind of a soy sauce type,
Yeah,
but it's clean.
it's a healthy alternative to a soy sauce.
So just making that one clear because
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite discoveries
Yeah,
lately.
me too. We eat it on almost everything. I love
very
coconut.
versatile.
It's really versatile.
And it doesn't. It's not salty.
Not at all. Not
It's
in
really
the
good.
sense
And it's
of
good
the
for
soy.
you.
It is, yeah.
So it's not like that other stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
brown
and one of the big meals that the Irish do / it's around St. Patrick's Day is corned beef and cabbage.
Corned beef and cabbage.
And I know Joe, he always has loved corned beef and
Corned beef.
cabbage. But now that we eat healthier,
Right.
it's harder to find a good, clean corned beef
yeah.
cabbage. But usually around St. Patrick's Day is about the only time I can find a
Very.
good, clean one.
Right.
So I try to buy up a couple so that then I can put them in the freezer and save them for him. But man, that's one of his favorite meals. And then actually my daughter, Kate, she found a recipe for apple cabbage stew.
Oh, wow.
And she's been making that every once in a while. And
Kate,
she
I'll have
really
Put
likes
my order
that.
in now.
I'm
I
placing an
know.
order. You got that? Okay, she got
Two
the memo.
orders, two
I've
orders.
got witnesses here.
You can look any of these up online and stuff and figure out, oh, that would be a fun one to make. And just try
and adapt
different
it to
options.
your family and your family's,
Yeah.
personal tastes or whatever.
Also, Swedish meatballs can be wrapped in cabbage.
Oh,
Swedish, is that what they
Yeah,
call it?
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I made those like years ago, and they're really good.
yeah, they're good. And when we were researching this, everybody thinks of cabbage and everybody thinks of potatoes, right? Mm-hmm. But apparently, and I'd never heard of this, and I'm going to butcher this, but there's a traditional Irish colcannon. And what they do is they mix potatoes and greens together in one dish. So it's like a buttery mashed potato with cabbage, kale, or leeks. And it's a traditional side dish for your corned beef.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Irish stew or something called St. Patty's Day mains. And leftovers can be made to use like fried potato cakes the next day for breakfast with some eggs or something.
That sounds so good.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that's just some fun ideas that you can do with your family. But let's talk about St. Patty again a little bit, Mom. I know you had a couple other facts on him personally that were very interesting, down to the color, where we always think, you think St. Patrick's Day, you think green.
Yeah.
But what was the actual color that they had gone with?
We think of St. Patrick being dressed in green, but he actually wore blue,
Right.
like a sky blue.
Interesting.
And this happened, according to the Smithsonian Magazine, blue became the color of choice when King Henry VIII, the King of England, declared himself a King of Ireland.
Oh, wow.
In the 16th century, to mark that announcement, he created a coat of arms for Ireland that used the color sky blue.
Huh.
So that's kind of an interesting, and so St. Patrick had wore that same color in honor of England.
Wow.
Another little interesting fact was that St. Patrick's name was not Patrick. It was actually Maewyn.
Maywin.
Maewyn Succat. And it's spelled S-U-C-C-A-T. And I think that's how you pronounce it, is Maewyn Succat. That was his birth
Interesting.
name.
That is interesting.
So, and I'm not sure. I haven't figured out where the transition
conversion.
happened.
Yeah.
Well, it may have happened too when he became a slave, that they couldn't say his
could
name,
be.
or they were turning him more into an Irish
Right.
type name, and
So
they named
just
him
gave
Patrick.
that.
Right.
That'd be interesting.
So
If
that was-
anybody out there knows,
Yeah,
hit
let
us
us
up on the
know.
socials and
Yeah.
Give us some
put that
deets.
on my next year's list. If
Right.
we
There
do
you
this ever
go.
Again, I
Dig.
want to have some of these other interesting facts that
Yeah.
we didn't get time to really delve into. I'd like to expound a little more.
Yeah, for
The other
sure.
one that I had, and this is probably kind of where I get to wrap what I have to contribute to these talks, is that the first church that he actually established was called Saul Church, S-A-U-L Church.
yeah,
And it was in a simple barn,
yeah.
is where it started, in 432 AD. In 1932, they finally built a brick and mortar building in that same spot that began his first church, and that launched
That's
his
a
journey.
beautiful
It
building.
is.
It's gorgeous. It's so sweet, but yet it evokes the feeling of that
does.
time and of him and his service.
Yep, even though it was built in 1932.
Oh,
They captured
for sure.
The
what
simplicity.
you would imagine.
Yeah. And I can't remember how many churches since that time that they have built in honor of St. Patrick. There
Yeah.
were several.
Yeah, that I don't know.
Different cathedrals
Right.
and things up till,
Right.
you know.
What an amazing life.
Oh my gosh.
If a person was to just dedicate themselves to
What
the
a
mission
legacy.
of the gospel, where God would take you. Well, you might go down a rough and rocky road, an unfamiliar road,
Right.
before you get there,
Right.
as Joseph did.
Yeah.
Right.
And God raised him up to be someone who helped his family in the end.
Right.
So, anyway,
Very reminiscent of Moses and Joseph. And
it's a great story.
yeah, both of them, you know, it's a conclusion of a theme of forgiveness and reconciliation, you know.
And of direction and divine order.
absolutely.
Right.
And you can make choices,
Oh,
Sure.
absolutely.
you know, and you can choose your own destiny.
Absolutely.
Because if you rebel, that's
Right.
one way.
Yeah, there's consequences to rebellion.
And if you submit, as both of these guys
Right.
did, then God was ultimately able to use them to their maximum
Mightily.
potential.
Yeah, mightily, for
And
sure.
I think that's the thing, man. Be used of
Absolutely.
your maximum. Why would you be here for a medium?
Right.
I don't want to be here for medium potential.
No,
Right.
exactly.
I want to be here maximum.
No, for sure.
And I do pray that.
Yeah.
Well, and even with the forgiveness and reconciliation, you know, Ireland turned him into a slave.
Right.
You know, they captured him and they turned him into a slave. So the
Exactly.
fact that he had a heart for these
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
despite of what they had done
Yeah.
to him, and he's
Exactly.
like, I need to take the gospel of Christ back to them.
Right. He saw
I
the
mean-
need that was there while he was immersed in that time.
He was, but then also that impact that, you know, he listened to that small, still voice
Yeah.
of the Lord saying,
Call.
I need you to go back and tell these people about me and reach them with the gospel because they don't know.
Right. Talk about obedience.
Wow.
Because, I mean, how could the script have been flipped to where you're angry because you're in captivity and you're taken
Exactly.
to a foreign land and how not to have compassion on the people that have put you in that position, but yet to still yourself, listen to what God is telling you, and to obey, go forth, and then evangelize that country, and then to have a mass movement of the gospel and establishment of the Lord.
Yeah.
And all the
Bringing
baptism
revival.
and revival. And that's something. So it's like when we're having our pity party, it's like, okay, well, maybe I should do the opposite.
Well, and the impact, that he's left behind, like all of the people in the Bible, they're role models for us to look at and say, oh, they went through hard times.
Yeah.
I'm going through a hard time, but how can I come out at the other end as a better person and learn and grow from my circumstance right now?
Yeah.
How am I going to learn so that then I can maybe reach other people?
And evangelize.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. Take all that he, went back to Britain and learned, go back to Ireland and evangelize the gospel of Christ.
Well, and we talk about that a lot on this show, that you are called.
Absolutely.
Everyone has a calling on their life, no matter who you are or what stage of life you're at.
Yeah.
You have a calling on your life. And all you have to do is say yes.
Exactly.
And the Holy
Just
Spirit
submit.
will guide you and lead you and take you to where you need to be.
Yeah.
Your answer just needs to be, yes, Lord, here am I. Send me.
Yeah.
Instead of send Aaron. You know?
Right.
That's one we like to tease about. Oh, no, I'm this, I'm that. I can't.
No, pick that one.
Do that person over there. They're more qualified.
Right.
But all you have to do is answer yes to the call that God has on your life. It's
Who knows?
such a hard thing to do in so many ways,
Right.
To say, okay, this is making me really uncomfortable. I don't feel qualified.
I don't have time. I'm not qualified. Yeah.
All of the
those
things.
Yeah.
But that is something that's trying to keep holding you back, and you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
let Satan win with that one.
No,
You
for
have
sure.
to say, okay, Lord, I am not the most qualified person in the world, but I'm going to do what you're asking me to do, and
No.
take that leap of faith.
No,
Because
for
again,
sure.
if you just research St. Patrick for a little bit, you'll
Oh,
see
yeah.
that he didn't want to
Very
go.
inspiring.
But it is inspiring.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that we are taking those steps to say, okay, I'm going to do it anyways, because God is bigger. God is going to carry you through.
Yeah.
It's just incredible how he does that. And even if you do look back in the rear of your mirror, how many times do we say, oh,
Right.
okay, I see what you were doing there. You were helping me get through these
Yeah.
circumstances, or you let me go through a circumstance so that now I have more knowledge of how to reach certain people or how to tell them about Jesus and the love of Christ. It's so important. So always, it's not comfortable going through hard times, but we're not promised that it's just going to be easy either.
No,
And we have to get through.
sometimes it's a battleship, not the love boat. You know?
Exactly.
It's not what the brochure sold us. Wait a minute. Where's the Lido deck?
I didn't sign up for this.
Exactly.
That's okay.
Right.
Yeah, well, you may not have signed up for it,
Right.
but if you submit to it,
Absolutely.
you will go greater places than
That's for
whatever
sure.
you choose to do. with your life.
Absolutely.
And God will always see you through.
And be with you in it.
Absolutely. Well, if you do decide to do a St. Patrick's Day feast or any kind of recipe to try, please share those with us. We would love to see what you have created or what recipe you use. Tag us on social
that'd be
media.
fun.
We would love to see what
Yeah,
you guys come
Post
up
the picture.
with.
That'd be great.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
We love that.
It'll be such a fun time to talk about all of this and talk about what an inspiration St. Patrick really, truly was. Thank you so much for joining us here in the Simply His coffee shop. We'll see you again next week.